Test. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Necədir səs? Yaxşıdır.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yaxşıdır. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alo. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sen sıfıra koy gene onu.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Dear guests, make sure that you are seated. We are about to start in several minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I will kindly ask everyone to stand up for the national anthem of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Thank you very much. Honorable guests, distinguished participants, welcome to Agdam, welcome to the second international conference on Mine Action, the path to reaching sustainable development goals. My name is Eldar Rasulov. I will be the moderator of the conference for 2 days. If you have any questions, any requests, just approach to any of the organizers. You can also approach me. Without further ado, I want to proceed to the official part of the conference. And I want to invite the first speaker, the senior advisor of the Office of the President of Azerbaijan, Mr. Sultan Hacıyev. Mr. Hacıyev, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eldar. Good morning to all of you, and welcome. Welcome to Azerbaijan and welcome to Agdam. They say seeing is believing. I'm sure that while traveling to Agdam, you've seen enough. There is a lot we can talk about right now, and we will, I'm sure, in the next day and a half. However, before we proceed any further, I would like to invite you to join us, the Azerbaijanis, in paying a tribute to the memory of the person whose vision, whose wisdom, whose energy has made today possible. I'm talking about the national leader who many, many years back, when Azerbaijan was making first steps after regaining its independence, under most difficult conditions, has embarked on a path of liberation of the occupied territories and has made the reconstruction and rehabilitation we are all witnessing today possible. I'm talking about someone whose life we celebrated only several days ago as the whole nation marked his 100th anniversary. I'm talking about Heydar Aliyev. Now I'm asking my colleagues to put the video on. Thank you. Can we also turn off the lights?
Azərbaycan xalqının gələcəyi üçün gecə-gündüz çalışan ulu öndər bir sıra strateji, uzaq görən qərarlar verirdi. Onun qəbul etdiyi belə qərarlardan biri də 1998-ci ildə müharibənin təsirinə məruz qalmış ərazilərimizi mina və partlamamış hərbi sursatlardan təmizləmək üçün Minatəmizləmə Agentliyinin yaradılması idi. 2020-ci il Vətən müharibəsində Ali Baş Komandan Prezident İlham Əliyevin rəhbərliyi ilə qazanılan tarixi qələbə nəticəsində Azərbaycanın öz ərazi bütövlüyünü bərpa etməsindən sonra Mina Təhlükəsi ilə Mübarizə ümumilli prioritetə çevrildi və 2021-ci ildə Prezidentin müvafiq fərmanı ilə Azərbaycan Respublikasının Minatəmizləmə Agentliyinin statusu yüksəldilərək Azərbaycanda mina təmizləmə sahəsində bütün fəaliyyətin idarə edilməsi öhdəliyi həvalə edildi. ANAMA işğaldan azad edilmiş ərazilərin mina və partlamamış hərbi sursatlardan təmizlənməsi kimi böyük vəzifəni həyata keçirmək üçün öz potensialını əhəmiyyətli dərəcədə artırır və inkişaf etdirir. 2021-ci ildən etibarən ANAMA vətən həsrətində olan insanlarımızın doğma yurdlarına qayıdışı, davamlı və dayanıqlı yaşayış mühitinin yenidən qurulması istiqamətində qarşıya çıxan çətinliklərin öhdəsindən gəlmək üçün əlavə insan resursları və avadanlıq səfərbər edərək yeni texnologiyaların tətbiqinə başladı. ANAMA-nın fəaliyyəti bugün davam edir və uzun illər də davam edəcək. Bizim cəsur mina axtaranlarımız böyük qayıdışa öz həqiqi töhfələrini verməkdən qürur duyurlar.
Biz azadıq, biz müstəqilik, biz sərbəstdik, biz heç kəsdən asılı deyilik, biz özümüz öz taleyimizin sahibiyik. Bilirsiniz, bunun üçün, yalnız bunun üçün aylarla əziyyət çəkmək olar, illərlə əziyyət çəkmək olar, illərlə ac qalmaq olar, məhz bunun üçün.
Okay, now it's on. Thanks again. We are all aware of the threats and dangers of the mines, but there are people who know it firsthand. These are mine survivors, and these are people who are fighting mines daily, the deminers. I would like to invite to the stage two persons. One of them is a mine survivor, and the other one is a person who is fighting the hidden seeds of death deadly. Xaliq müəllim, Hafiz müəllim, I'm asking you to come to the stage. Zəhmət olmasa, Xaliq müəllim, Hafiz müəllim.
Hörmətli xanımlar və cənablar, hər birinizi xoş gördük, salamlayıram və çoxsaylı minadan zərər çəkmişlər adından, onların özlərinin və ailələrinin adından sizə çoxlu salamlar gətirmişəm. Mən Əzimzadə Hafiz Səlimoğlu, Ağdam Mexanik Suvarma İdarəsinin rəisi vəzifəsində çalışıram. Miniyə düşmüşəm, miniyə düşməmişdən əvvəl də bu vəzifədə çalışırdım. Ancaq 2-ci Qarabağ müharibəsindən sonraki dövrdə, yəni 2021-ci il mart ayının 3-də təxminən saat 15:30 radələrində nəməlum şəraitdə minaya düşmüşəm. Həmin anları tez-tez xatırlayıram, həmin anlar tez-tez yadıma düşür. Heç bir kəsə, nəinki insana, hətta canlıya, heyvana da mən o anların minaya düşməyi arzulamıram. Yəni, belə olar deyərdim ki, hətta heç mən düşmənimi də minaya düşməyə heç vaxtı arzulamazdım. Bu günləri mənim bir hissəm, sağ ayağım amputasiya olunubdur. Bədənimdə çoxsaylı qəlpələr vardır və sinirimin ən yaxın hissəsində qəlpələr vardır ki, onun əməliyyat olunub çıxarılması hələ də mümkün deyildir. Ancaq mən nikbinəm, mən həyata çox yaxşı baxıram və çox yaxşı addımlayıram, öz işimdə işləyirəm və bunun üçün Azərbaycanda olan bütün həkimlərimizə minnətdaram ki, məni sağlam, belə gözəl vəziyyətdə həyata bəxş edibdilər. Mən qeyd etdiyim kimi su içsiyəm, mühəndisəm. Mən bu işlərlə əlaqədar olaraq işğaldan azad olunmuş ərazilərə tez-tez gəlirəm. Özünüz gələndə şəhərin dağılmış, kəndlərin dağılmış vəziyyətini görürsünüz. Bu anları mən hər görəndə həmən 2021-ci il mart ayının 3-ü 15-30 radələrini hər bu dağılmış, virana qalmış yerləri görəndə bir də xatırlayıram. Və heç kəsə arzulamazdım. Ancaq mən bu günləri dünyanın müxtəlif yerlərindən burada əyləşmiş və Mina Təhlükəsinin qarşısını almaq üçün və minadar zərər çəkənlərə köməklik etmək üçün, bu məsələlərin aradan qaldırılması üçün gələn nümayəndə heyətə və mütəxəssislərə üzümü tutub, xahiş edirəm və hətta acizanə bir yalvarış edirəm ki, nəinki Azərbaycanda, dünyanın heç bir yerində mina partlayışı, minadan əziyyət çəkmək, minaya düçar olmaq işlərinin qarşısının alınmasını rica edərdim. Və eyni zamanda ANAMA təşkilatına böyük minnətdarlığımı bildirirəm. Mən fəxr edirəm ki, bizim Azərbaycanımızda, doğma vətənimizdə ANAMA təşkilatı kimi bir təşkilat var ki, mən mühəndis kimi bu ərazilərə suyun istiqamətləndirilməsi, tənzimlənməsi işlərinə əlaqədar olaraq hər gələndə onların köməkliyindən istifadə edirik. Onlar müəyyən olunmuş bizim xahişlərimizi nəzərə alaraq, təkliflərimizi nəzərə alaraq əraziləri tənzimləyirlər ki, minadan təmizləyirlər ki, və biz də bir daha minaya düşməyək və öz işimizi rahat görək. Bunun üçün bir daha Mina Təşkilatının rəhbəri və bütün heyətinə dərin minnətdarlığımı bildirirəm. Diqqətiniz üçün minnətdaram. Sağ olun.
Salam, əvvəlcə mən hər birinizi salamlayıram. Mən Xaliq Zülfüqarov, özüm Cəbrayıl rayonundanam. Mənim də ailəm digər ailələr kimi Cəbrayıl rayonundan məcburi köçkün düşüb. 2004-cü ildən mən ANAMA sıralarında minaxtaran vəzifəsində çalışmağa başlamışam və hal-hazırda ANAMA'nın Ağdam rayonunda apardığı minatəmizləmə əməliyyatlarına rəhbərlik edirəm. Mən də bizim kollektivimizdə hamısı bir amal uğrunda işləyirlər ki, ərazilər mina təhlükəsindən azad olsun və vətəndaşlarımız öz torpaqlarına təhlükəsiz qayıda bilsinlər. Məndən əvvəl Hafiz müəllim danışdı və demək istəyirəm, tale ilə gətirib ki, Hafiz müəllim minaya düşən an ilk ora gələnlərdən biri də mən olmuşam və mən o faciəni, o hadisəni öz gözlərimlə görmüşəm. Və bizim işlədiyimiz dövr ərzində belə hadisələrlə biz tez-tez qarşılaşırıq və ANAMA nümayəndələr olaraq həmən ərazilərə ilk səfər eləyən, ilk edən, minaya düşmüş şəxslərə yardım eləyən, onu təhlükəli ərazidən çıxardan bizlər oluruq. Biz bu cür faciəli hadisələri tez-tez görürük, lakin nə qədər çox görsək də insan bu hadisələri görməyə vərdiş eləyə bilmir. Çünki çox ağır faciələrdir, kimsə həyatını itirir, kimsə müxtəlif dərəcəli bədən xəsarətləri alır. Biz ərazidə olduğumuz vaxtı, işlədiyimiz vaxtı hər şey adi halda öz qaydasına gedərkən, hər şey gözəl olduğu vaxtı, təbiət yaxşı, təmiz hava və bir də bir xəbər eşitirik ki, hansısa bir ərazidə mina hadisəsi baş verib və oraya gedib həmən faciəni biz öz gözlərimizlə görürük. Bu da bizim üçün çox ağırdır, çox dəhşətlidir. Biz bir şeyi unutmamalıyıq ki, mina gözə görünməyən bir düşməndir və biz gözə görünməyən düşmənlə mübarizə aparırıq və mina elə bir qurğudur ki, o torpağın altında dayanıb hər bir an öz qurbanını gözləyir. Və bugün bura yığışmaqda mən sizə də xüsusi minnətdarlığımı bildirirəm, hamınıza təşəkkür edirəm ki, nəinki Azərbaycanda, həmçinin mina təhlükəsi olan digər ölkələrdə də mina təhlükəsinin qarşısını almaq üçün, ərazilərin təmizlənməsi üçün siz də əlinizdən gələn səyi göstərirsiniz və bu işdə, apardığınız işlərdə, göstərdiyiniz fəaliyyətdə sizin hər birinizə təşəkkür edirəm. Çox sağ olun.
Thank you, Hafiz Müəllim, Xaliq Müəllim. Azerbaijan has a very particular objective in undertaking major demining operations. They are precondition for reconstruction rehabilitation. It's a top priority for the country, and the whole nation is working to achieve this purpose as soon as possible. And yet there are people who are playing a bit of a more special role. I have once referred to them being the field marshals. It's a sign of the importance that these people are carrying for reconstruction rehabilitation activities in the country. There are three, and we have the pleasure of being host of one of them. I would like to introduce Mr. Emin Huseynov, who is special representative of the President of the Azerbaijan Republic and our host, to welcome you, because this is his home, this is his domain. Whatever you see here is a direct outcome of his tireless efforts in line with the plans of the nation. Please, Emin Müəllim, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to the second International Conference on Mining Activity, the Path to Reaching Sustainable Development Goals, organized by ANAMA and the United Nations in our lovely Agdam city. During the past period from great victory in the Second Karabakh War, significant works have been carried out in the direction of cleaning the occupied territories from mines and unexploded ordnances, building modern living, production and service infrastructure, revival of economic activity, reconstruction of transport and communication lines. The great return to Azerbaijan's deoccupied territories has been identified as one of the 5 national priorities of Azerbaijan until 2030. As a result, as a continuation of this process, on November 16, 2022, the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Mr. Ilham Aliyev, signed the decree on the approval of the first state program on Great Return to Azerbaijan's liberated territories. The 5-year action plan was prepared in order to achieve the goals set in the framework of the restoration and sustainable development of these territories and to optimize the implementation of the state program. In accordance with the state program, 6 highways, 2 railways are currently being built: Zafer Road, Tartar-Sugovshan-Talış Road, Talış-Tapkaragoyunlu Gashaltı Sanatorium Road, Fizuli-Hadrut, and other highways have already been completed and opened for use. In addition, the design of intra-city roads in Agdam and Fizuli cities have been completed and construction will start soon. And of course, the magnificent Fizuli International Airport was built and handed over in a record time of 8 months in a heavily contaminated minefield. In terms of social infrastructure, 4 school projects are currently being implemented. 2 schools and 1 kindergarten have already been put into use. The construction of 2 central hospitals in Agdam and Fizuli will start in coming days. 20 private residential houses and 10 non-residential facilities have been already completed and handed over to returning IDPs in the first phase of Talış village. Currently, 3 residential complexes are under construction in Agdam and Fizuli in total. During this year, construction works will be started on 5 residential complexes and 4 villages in Agdam, 1 residential complex and 7 villages in Fizuli, Hadrut settlement and Tuğ village in Khojavend, residential buildings in Sugovshan, and second phase of Talış village. The implemented purposeful and large-scale projects serve the rapid revival of Karabakh, the sustainable settlement of the population, and the provision of sustainable economic activity, as well as laying a solid foundation for the transformation of those areas into a highly developed region. It should be noted that one of the main problems we're facing during the reconstruction of liberated territories is excessive contamination of the territory with landmines and other explosive ordnances. Until now, despite all the difficulties Azerbaijan has faced, it continues full-scale demining operations in the liberated territories. In this regard, the activity of the Azerbaijan National Agency for Mine Action should be especially noted. In addition to the demining activities, ANAMA raising awareness among the population living near the liberated territories, as well as returning IDPs, by conducting awareness trainings on the danger of mines and unexploded ordnances, and also safety behavior rules. I would like to take this opportunity to express my thanks and gratitude to all the employees of ANAMA and their partners. We wish them success in their difficult, dedicated, and honorable work. At last, I wish all success to the work of the conference. Thank you again for your attention.
Thank you, Emin Malim. Azerbaijan takes pride in the results of the reconstruction and rehabilitation programs that we're implementing. It's a top priority for the country, and as emphasized by the head of state, our President Ilham Aliyev, safe, dignified, and voluntary return of IDPs is of crucial importance for us. Now, I would like to turn to the next two guests, who are not guests, of course. They are the hosts. They are the organizers of today's event. Today's event is a product of partnership between the government of Azerbaijan, represented by ANAMA. I don't think I need to explain what ANAMA is. This is the national demining agency of the country. And also our longtime partners on demining, United Nations. I would like to invite Mr. Ugar Suleymanov, who is the chairman of the board of ANAMA, to address the conference participants. Ugar Malim, please.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, I am glad to welcome all of you at the second International Conference on Mine Action, the Path to Reaching Sustainable Development Goals. We are in Agdam today. This once beautiful city carries the scars of landmines and explosive remnants of war. Agdam stands as a touching reminder of the urgent need to deal with mines and explosive remnants of war. The city itself is a victim of mines. We are here because of a shared commitment to discuss solutions and forge partnership that will pave the path towards a safer, more prosperous future without mines. Our conference is organized jointly by Mine Action Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan and the United Nations. I am thanking my UN colleagues for their valuable partnerships. More than 190 participants from 51 countries around the world are attending our forum. It's an opportunity to each of us to discuss global problems of landmines while identifying local solutions. Landmines and explosive remnants of war remain one of the most serious threats of peace, development, and progress in many regions of the world. Azerbaijan, one of the most contaminated, landmine-contaminated countries in the world, with landmines scattered across the conflict-affected territories, posing a severe threat to the safety and well-being of people. This hidden hazard not only causes human tragedies, but has also hindered social and economic development. It's also a major obstacle for peace and stability in the region. Since November 2020, extensive demining operations by Azerbaijan have resulted in the clearance of more than 81,000 hectares of lands from mines and unexploded ordnances. A total of more than 88,000 landmines and other explosive remnants of war have been discovered and neutralized, including more than 28,000 anti-personnel mines, more than 15,000 anti-tank mines, and more than 44,000 unexploded ordnances. Despite the progress made, the threat of landmines persists. In the last 32 months, 302 citizens of Azerbaijan fell victim to mines and explosive remnants of war. 57 of them died, 245 sustained injuries. Since the beginning of the conflict caused by the territorial claims by Armenia in 1991, a total of 3,381 citizens of Azerbaijan lost their lives or been injured in mine incidents, with 358 of them being children and 38 women. I hope that we will share insights and experiences, explore important topics related to mine action, emphasizing collaborative approaches, successful models of cooperation and strategies to mitigate the devastating effects of landmines and explosive remnants of war. While the specific mine threat may vary across different regions, we must recognize that widespread harm caused by landmines remains a global challenge. The threat they pose is not limited to any particular country or region. It is a menace that all nations must combat collectively. No people should suffer from mines and explosive remnants of war, irrespectively of their nationality. During the conference, we will hopefully not only examine the challenges at hand, but also seek innovative solutions. By fostering a collaborative environment and leveraging the expertise of all stakeholders present here, we can make significant strides towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and creating a safer, more prosperous world. I have mentioned SDGs. Demining is of great importance for achieving them. We believe demining to be an integral part of the SDGs process. It is for this reason the new National Sustainable Development Goal on humanitarian demining has been introduced in Azerbaijan by His Excellency President Ilham Aliyev. We're also promoting the global SDG 18 on humanitarian demining, as no other SDG can be achieved in the conflict-affected areas without successful humanitarian mine action. I thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Your presence here is a proof to your commitment and dedication to the cause of mine action. Let us seize this opportunity to engage in constructive dialogue, build new networks and platforms, transform our efforts into concrete actions way towards a mine-free world. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive conference. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Vugar Malim. And now I'm inviting the second co-organizer, UN Resident Coordinator to Azerbaijan, Ms. Vladanka Andreeva. Well, that's what I call a real commitment, right, Vladanka? I hope it helps healing. So, you need any help?
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. And it's really a true pleasure on behalf of the UN family in Azerbaijan to welcome you all to the second International Conference on Mine Action. And obviously, this is the way to achieve Sustainable Development Goals. This is my first function to attend in person since I have my knee surgery. And I'm doing this just to say how significant the support that we are offering to Azerbaijan is when it comes to mine action. We are very clear that we want to go hand in hand with the government to support them in their efforts. Hence, me and my colleagues, I have my colleagues from UNDP, UNICEF, UNHCR, UN Habitat, together with us. As most of you are aware, it can cost as little as $1 to make a landmine, but it takes more than $1,000 to safely remove one. These explosive hazards are threatening the safety, health, well-being, lives, and livelihoods of generations of people in over 60 countries. The most vulnerable, including women and children, are the most affected ones. Allow me to share with you some quite alarming statistics that highlight the devastating impact of mines and explosive remnants of war. I would like to cite the Landmine Monitor report from 2022. Staggering number of 5,544 individuals have lost their lives or sustained injuries just in 2021. In the context of Azerbaijan, the grim reality is disheartening too. Since 1991, a total of 3,381 people, Bulgar Melim just mentioned the number, including 358 children, have tragically fallen victim to landmines. Just within the past 2 years, 55 precious lives have been lost. My UN family and I were in Agdam on 17th of March, and while in the same venue we were having a high-level dialogue with the government, 2 people have lost their lives. An additional 244 individuals have been severely injured over the last 2 years. The urgency to address this dire situation becomes even more apparent when we consider the vast expanse of land in Azerbaijan, spanning several thousand square kilometers, that is designated as a priority area for humanitarian demining. Until these areas are cleared of landmines, the safe return of internally displaced people remain impossible. Moreover, the construction of essential infrastructure, the development of roads, and the cultivation of farmland are all impeded. These facts shed light on the critical need for concerted efforts and resources to accelerate humanitarian demining activities in Azerbaijan. However, we should not let the magnitude of this challenge divert our attention from ANAMA's significant accomplishments thus far. And I really want to take this opportunity. In the past, I have done that publicly many times, but today, again, Vugar Melim, I really want to congratulate ANAMA on its achievements. And I think we all have a shared utmost gratitude and admiration for the commitment of ANAMA's brave mine clearance experts who tirelessly work to eliminate the danger of explosive ordnance, facing significant personal risk. The UN in Azerbaijan is very proud of its long-standing partnership with ANAMA since 1999. In the aftermath of the conflict in 2020, the UN helped mobilize more than $11 million with financial support and generosity of our partners, the European Union, the government of the United Kingdom, other partners, and internal UN resources. 3 UN agencies, UNDP, UNICEF, and UNHCR, are supporting ANAMA's mine action efforts through institutional strengthening, provisional of technical expertise, and explosive ordnance risk education. Ladies and gentlemen, mine action in countries affected by landmines, including Azerbaijan, is a fundamental requirement for sustainable development and lasting peace. And we must ensure that the path towards achieving Sustainable Development Goals is clear of landmines and explosive remnants of war. Over the past 3 years, the world has faced numerous challenges that in a way have really backslid the progress towards Sustainable Development Goals. And the United Nations Secretary General has recently emphasized the urgent need to increase commitment, solidarity, and transformative action to prevent us from falling short of the headline targets of the 2030 Agenda. In September, just in a couple of months, the world leaders will convene at the United Nations headquarters in New York in an attempt to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals and reinvigorate our collective efforts. Since the inception, there has been a very strong political will, commitment, and action on the side of Azerbaijan to implement 2030 Agenda. And as the country continues its journey of accelerated progress, we, the UN family, look forward to further strengthening partnerships to advance the Sustainable Development Goals, including through mine action. And sincere congratulations to the government for acknowledging the importance of mine action and introducing it as an additional national sustainable development goal. Together, let's embark on this transformative journey, united in one purpose: to have a mine-free world. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a super successful conference.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Andreeva. I want to underline that we will have several panel discussions throughout today and tomorrow, but today you also will have a chance to witness by yourself the result of a great effort that our brave deminers had applied in order to ensure safe comeback of our citizens to our liberated territories. Of course, as a result of that effort, we are also capable of hosting international conferences here. So it's time for us to proceed to our first panel discussion that will be held on humanitarian demining in reconstruction and rehabilitation. It will be moderated by a member of European Parliament from 2004 to 2019 and CEO of Haider Global BVBA Strategic Consultant, Brussels, Mr. Sajjad Kerim. Please. So I want to call the panelists of the first discussion. Please, just a second, Mr. Panelists. I want to invite ex-Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Jomart Otorbayev. Head of the Counter-Explosive Defense Engagement Office of UK MOD, Mr. Bert Appleton. Head of Department for Sustainable Development and Social Policy, Minister of Economy of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Hussein Husseinov. And Head of Recovery Solutions and Human Mobility from UNDP, Luca Renda. And External Relations and Policy Advisor from GISC HD, Angela Hoyos Ibora.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I I'm really up against the clock. This session was supposed to finish at 1 p.m. That certainly won't be happening. But my instructions are to try and move as swiftly as we possibly can. And in order to do so, I've done two things. One, cut out my opening remarks altogether, which I'm sure many will be pleased to know. And secondly, I hope the panelists will forgive me, but I've cut out any meaningful introductions because the panelists were so experienced, I really was going to take a huge amount of time in running through all of that. May I thank you all for being here. May I thank both the United Nations and ANAMA for inviting us all to this tremendous conference facility. It's my first visit here. I have different memories from when I first came, so it's great to see the progress that is being made. So thank you for that. We'll move straight on to the formal proceedings. Our first speaker is His Excellency Dushmat Oturbayev, former Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan. Your Excellency, thank you so much for making the time to be here. May I invite you to very kindly share your expertise and your thoughts for the conference today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this visit is very special for me. I'm first time in a sacred place of Karabakh, which is famous in its history in terms of what happened along the different years in the history. And I would like to say that my goal today is to demonstrate my appreciation and sympathies to the brotherly nation of Azerbaijan in restoring long-awaited peace in their country. So I came here to demonstrate this sympathy. My big thanks goes to the government of Azerbaijan and to organizers of this conference for it's clearly a huge success. Around 200 participants from more than 50 countries are with us today. But my special thanks and gratitude goes to all participants of the conference which decided to join efforts of the government and the nation to bring this long-suffered region to peace and prosperity. Because your recommendations and wisdom will be taken on board, I believe, not only by decision makers of this country, but to all nations. This is a very important moment for our brother nations of Azerbaijan. What I know from my communication with authorities, and that is what I heard today, is that Azerbaijan is committed to bring a lot of investments to the region. Last year, to my knowledge, maybe I'm mistaken, it was investment in the range of $1.3 billion for, like Special Representative of President said, in restoration of infrastructure and bringing long-awaited possibility for the peace and further prosperity, to create educational institutions, and at the end to create more jobs to the region. However, this cannot be done without making lives of people safe and secure. That is why the priority of whole nation is the subject of this conference. And indeed, country and the region need expertise and wisdom of all of you who will be sharing with us during the next 2 days. So quick and decisive actions will be required. It's clearly a priority of the government and the country, but it will be going quicker if you will give great sets of recommendations on how to do it the best possible way. Azerbaijani nation, I believe, will never forget your wise contribution to restoration, peace and prosperity to this region. That is why I really, from the bottom of my heart, I wish to this conference great success, and it will happen inevitably while I see in the atmosphere of today's meeting. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. If I may then move on to Bert Appleton of Appleton Connections, a very experienced individual from within the relevant sector, has been head of the Counter-Explosive Defence Engagement Office of the UK Ministry of Defence also. Bert, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Firstly, a thank you for the invitation to return to Azerbaijan and the privilege of travelling to witness with our own eyes the devastation around and the efforts to rebuild and resettle in Agdam. I think that experience, in addition to the conference in Baku, is really important. I'd also extend congratulations to our Azerbaijani colleagues for the progress made in clearance of explosive remnants of war, in construction, and on that path to resettlement. I'm here to reinforce the UK MOD's commitment to our bilateral relationship and to our multi-agency approach to that, with colleagues, many of whom are in the audience. I have the privilege of leading the Counter-Explosive Ordnance Defence Engagement team in the UK MOD for the last 5 years, with a model that I established to support our international partners where they address the threat and risk from explosive ordnance. What do we bring? Well, we bring hard-earned experience across the spectrum of counter-explosive ordnance. Conventional rockets, mortars, grenades, secondary threats of white phosphorus, cluster munitions, depleted uranium, and improvised threats as well of improvised explosive devices and booby traps, all of which, as we know, are relevant. The actions we take and the support we offer is focused on the term we use of freedom of movement and action. And I think that's been encapsulated by colleagues who've presented already today. That is again focused on the reuse of land and ultimately on resettlement. And that all lines up with the path to sustainable development and the goals that we are familiar with and we are all here to support with our Azerbaijani hosts. We bring experience from time in the Balkans, which I know again is relevant and will appear later in the conference as well. So how do we do it? Well, we visit when invited, and we're delighted that we've been hosted a number of times in Azerbaijan, and my colleague Nigel Marsh, who is the technical advisor to the team, this is his 4th visit and his 2nd visit to this region in Karabakh. And we listen. And I think that the journey to Agdam, as part of that experience of listening to where we could offer solutions, is particularly important. We had a very positive meeting yesterday with colleagues in the Ministry of Defence, again, to make sure that we're aligning what our offers could be with specific requirements that have been identified by the people who understand that the best, our hosts. We design that requirement and we have a framework of government-assured suppliers of training equipment and services. And it should give everybody confidence that in that framework of suppliers, I have over 450 veterans, those people who've served, and as we heard from our respected colleague in the demining sector in Azerbaijan, they understand exactly what we need to offer and how we need to align with our colleagues in step with them. We assure that delivery, and my colleague Nigel and I were out in Azerbaijan to witness the delivery and to observe where the trainer element had been delivered and what effect that would have. And then we return to measure the effect and make sure that we're aligning future support, learning lessons as we go along. The training we offer is aligned to international mine action standards, and that gives us a strength and a consistency. And again, my colleague David Hewitson, who is in the audience, He has been instrumental in the development of those standards, and I know there is work ongoing with the government to do further work on those and adopt them, and we really support that. In addition, another colleague, Mark Boswell, here from UNDP as an advisor, provides that consistent link through to UN standards, UN work and support and advice, through to also to their conventions as well, which gives us a very strong position to move forward. We have successfully delivered explosive ordnance disposal and explosive hazard awareness training, and importantly, added into that a development to train the trainer, part of sustainment in itself. We look at progressing that, and I'd be delighted to engage with our colleagues over the next 24 to 48 hours, because we see this as a long-term commitment and a long-term relationship. We're also looking forward later this year to welcoming some of our Azerbaijani colleagues, some experts who have worked on the ground, to the UK to knowledge share with our experts and make sure that the men and women on the ground who are demining can teach us to develop our procedures and techniques. And hopefully that will raise everybody's standards. So finally, I reaffirm the commitment we have to offer support of training equipment and services, to collaborate by listening to our experts with the host nation, to capacity build and knowledge share, to provide government assurance of everything that we do, to give confidence, and to walk shoulder to shoulder with our Azerbaijani friends and wider agencies on that path to sustainable development once it's been cleared. Thank you.
Bert, thank you, and thank you for your commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have a presentation from Hussein Husseinov, Head of Department for Sustainable Development and Social Policy at the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Taking your advice on timing issues, I will skip the thanks part and I will go to the microphone in order to have a presentation. Thank you. Thanks again for the conference management for location of Sustainable Development Goal, Targets and Indicator presentation. Okay, my presentation will be based on two parts. The first part will be based on 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the next one will be based on next one will be based on 18 National Sustainable Development Goals initiatives. How many targets, how many indicators we have, about the establishment process, about the analytical part of these initiatives. Before starting to speak about 18th goal, National Sustainable Development Goal, I would like briefly state about the action took place and implemented stage of Sustainable Development Goals in Azerbaijan. As you're aware, this initiatives based on four principles: universality, leaving no one behind, commitment to human rights, and complexity. When we prepared 18 Sustainable Development Goals, we took into consideration these four principles as well. At the same time, the scope of the document covered social, economic, and environmental issues, and we included in targets and indicators about the social impact, environmental impact, and economic impact of 18 Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, Sustainable Development Goals required a good institutional mechanism in the country. The high-level leadership will post the process move faster than other cases. So, institutional mechanism in our country on October 6 in 2016, as you can see, Mr. President gave an order establishment of National Coordination Council on Sustainable Development, which chaired by Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Azerbaijan. We have around 12 government institutions and organizations, ministries, committees, and other organizations inside of this Coordination Council. At the same time, stakeholder engagement also an important process on sustainable development implementation process in the country. During this 7 years period of time, The Council engaged different parts of societies like NGOs, private sector, academic institutions to the process in order to make leaving nobody behind in this process. Adaptation and integration process, this is another important part of sustainability process in the country. So during this period of time, more than 40 state programs, strategies and documents aligned with targets and goals of Sustainable Development Goals adopted by United Nations. And the most important strategy adopted to SDGs, this is Azerbaijan 2030 National Priorities for Social-Economic Development. And the strategy for the medium-term period, Social-Economic Development Strategy for the period of 2022-2026. At the same time, I would like to give this information as well. We have a separate program dedicated to the first state program on great return to the liberated territories of the Republic of Azerbaijan, which fully integrated goals, targets, and indicator of sustainable development goals in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, another important part of implementation process of sustainable development goals, this is accountability. Taking into consideration the guidelines of United Nations, we have submitted 3 voluntary national review to Economic and Social Council of United Nations during the HLPF high-level political forum organized by this organization. Azerbaijan was among 10 countries around the world who is submitted 3rd voluntary national review. Now we are preparing for the next 4th national review who is coming here. At the same time, for internal accountability, each year, Secretariat is submitted presidential report to the presidential administration on implementation and action carried out during the year of period in Azerbaijan. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to mention from my personal view, our future start from these territories actually. I grown up in this region, in Agdam, up to 6 years. And now our glorious victory ends the conflict and open entire new window, not for only Azerbaijan, but entire the region. Notwithstanding, we achieved the peace in historical territories, but still we have a big constraint established by Armenia with huge amount of buried mine in ground of Azerbaijan territories. Taking account into this process, humanitarian demining for the country, Azerbaijan is currently setting actually a particular national sustainable development goals, which was mentioned by Bugar Malim as well in his speech. And during the Azerbaijan, speech of an alliance movement in Baku on summit of NAM, Mr. President mentioned about it. Azerbaijan actively promotes the initiative of launching 18 SDG on demining. We invite NAM countries to support these initiatives. Taking into consideration these initiatives, as a Coordination Council of Sustainable Development with Presidential Administration, with ANAMA and LIME ministries, around 1 month period of time, we intensively worked on national sustainable development goals, we call it MINE action. What was actually main reasons for establishment of special national sustainable development goal? You can see that from statistics that since the end of the Second Karabakh War, actually Bugarmem also mentioned about the statistics, up to around 300 Azerbaijan have become victims of mines. According to preliminary study, more than 8,000 square kilometers of Azerbaijan territory was contaminated with mine and other explosive ammunition. At the same time, the fight against the threat of mines is directly aligned with 12 of 17 Sustainable Development Goals of UN and indirectly with other 5 goals. More than 60 countries of the world today suffer from landmines. Taking into all 18th national goal is named precisely according to international law. We have the short name is MINE action, SDG 18, but with regional review, this is MINE action for safe return, settlement, recovery, prosperity, and peace. We have here the targeted indicators, which entirely cover the need action by national bodies and international organizations. For the first target, which focus on clearing the areas of mines and unexploded ordnance, ensuring peace and security. In this umbrella, it's expected to track our activity and strengthen how many mines are cleared and naturalized annually for ensuring peace and security for all. You can see from two indicators that this is naturalizing liberated territories, the number of mines in division of anti-tank and anti-personnel mines, and number of other explosives. We have another indicator here. This is areas cleared of mines and other unexploded ordnance in liberated territories by hectares, and the proportion of the total territory to the country by percentage. The next target you can see, this is allocation of funds to clear areas of landmine and other explosive munitions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to engage financial flow to this mine action because it's not free, it's costly activities. In that case, international organizations and other donor organizations, we are strongly recommend to support this process around the world. Not only in Azerbaijan, as I mentioned, we have around 60 countries suffering from mine issues around the world. Here is, you can see two indicators here, to clear areas of mine and other explosive munition, and the total amount of funds raised from donor organization for clearing of mine and other explosive munitions. In the next target, you can see this is creation of safe settlement condition in the liberated territories and reintegration of the population. This is a social part of mine action SDG. We have here two indicators. The first one is the number of rebuilt settlement in the liberated territories. And the second indicator, this is the population of rebuilt settlement in liberated territories, the number by residential distribution, at the same time by the proportion to the number of total population in the country. The next indicator, this is the number of employed population in liberated territories. Employment activities, this is a first condition for integration of population into the liberated territories. The permanent settled population, we have two sub-indexes here, and the temporary settled population in liberated territories. The next indicator, this is number of people covered mine and other explosive ordnance awareness activities. This is also another important to teach or to aware people about this dangerous situation when they will come to this liberated territories or when they will reintegrate to these liberated territories. The next indicator, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually targets. This is involvement and land cleared from mines and other explosive into agricultural circulation. We have one indicator here stated about the areas involved in agricultural circulation in territories cleared of mine and other explosive munition. In other words, integrates this land into the economic activities. The next and last target, this is strengthening the medical, social rehabilitation and social protection of the population affected by mines and other explosive munition. Here have we different disaggregated data cases. This is damage by mines and other explosive munition in a military personnel, those involved in demining activities, the number of civilians involved in demining activities. We have a sub-indexes which died people, injured people, disabled population, and others. Another important indicator here, this is number of persons affected by landmines and other explosive ordnance covered by social protection programs, because each year the government, Minister of Labor and Social Protection, Minister of Health, allocation amount of money for rehabilitation process of this population. So by this indicator, we will measure how many money or amount allocated from state budget to this rehabilitation process of this population. The amount of social payments in here in national currency and US dollar made in relation to victims of mines and other explosive manuations. This is another indicator. In this target, we have treatment cost, medical social rehabilitation cost, and the total amount of funds spent for social protection of population affected by mines and other explosive manuation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is summary of SDG in Azerbaijan, which we prioritize 88 targets and 190 indicators. By accepting this national sustainable development goal, our target will be 93 and our indicator will reach to 134. Each year, we will report directly to the Presidential Office around 134 indicators, at the same time 92 targets. When we will submit our next national review to the high-level political forum, we will consider the mine action activities on this report as well. And this is mapping of implementation of target and indicator of 18 national sustainable development goals, which have a direct or indirect positive effect on implementation of global 17 SDGs. You can see how first target, second target, third target, fifth and fourth target make an impact on all 12 SDGs around the world. Thank you for your attention.
Hussein, thank you. I didn't want to interrupt because I could see the amount of time that had gone into the preparation. It would have been unfair to stop you, I think. Moving on now to our next contributor, Luca Renda from the UNDP, is Head of Recovery Solutions and Human Mobility, Mine Action in a Recovery and Displacement / IDP Return Perspective. The floor is yours, Luca.
Thank you very much, Sajjad, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues. I feel really privileged to be here. I embarked in this journey from New York to be here, to be present, to convey and reiterate the support that UNDP is providing and will continue to provide to the government of Azerbaijan in their efforts for reconstruction and recovery. I feel, we all feel in our office here in Azerbaijan very proud to have been a partner of ANAMA since its inception back in 1998. So it's been almost 25 years of partnership. We also have recently celebrated 30 years of engagement in mine action as UNDP worldwide. Our first program started in Cambodia. And over time, we've also supported many recovery and reconstruction processes where mine action occupied a central role, such as in Bosnia, Herzegovina, in Colombia, in Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Angola, Mozambique. And there's a lot of lessons learned, a lot of good practices that have been accumulated over time that we will be more than happy and always to share with the government of Azerbaijan. And I'm sure some of the delegations here from these countries are also eager to do the same. The way we treat mine action UNDP is from a development lens. So we are not operators, but we do a lot of activities on institutional strengthening, institutional building, building of national capacities, alignment to international standards, linking mine action with development plans and stressing, therefore, the linkages between mine action and sustainable development. So I'm very, very happy to be speaking here in this conference where the underlying theme is the link precisely between mine action and the SDGs, which remain our most comprehensive and ambitious global agenda, a global agenda for humanity. And as the Resident Coordinator said at the beginning, we will be having a summit in New York, a World Summit, to reaffirm the global commitment towards the goals. I think there is an element that has over time emerged as very important when in process of reconstruction and recovery, where mine action is not to be seen as an isolated sector, but it has to be integrated into the overall coordination structure of the government, and has to have clear linkages, therefore, to the other component of recovery and reconstruction, being it the key enabler. And I've seen it through my own eyes now in the journey we had from Ganja to here, how absolutely vital and critical is going to be the mine action activity to enable the recovery, the reconstruction, and the safe return of displaced population. And I have to say, one of my colleagues who's here, he was one of the first to enter this area, one of the first UN officials to enter this area back in December 2020. And he was telling me how impressed he was to see how quickly the reconstruction has happened of several buildings, including this one. So a lot of appreciation and for the efforts that are ongoing. There's been a lot of a good body of work that have documented and highlighted the contribution of mine action to SDGs. Angela from GSCHD is going to go a little bit into details for that, so I'm not going to mention that, but I just want to say that we, UNDP and GSCHD, we published a study some time ago that showed how mine action directly contributes to about 12 SDGs, as it was mentioned by Mr. Husseinov. We also had a study back in 2019 in Lebanon that shows how every dollar invested in mine action has a return in socioeconomic benefits of about more than $4. So, and this is all about land release and opening up opportunities for economic activities, as well as issues related to environmental conservation, not to mention, of course, the saving lives, which remains the main objective. I want to mention briefly, I was asked to reflect a bit on the IDP returns. I think we have an opportunity, a momentum internationally. Back in 2021, a high-level panel on internal displacement published its report. This was appointed by the UN Secretary General at the request of 56 member states. And it was to shed a light on the situation of IDPs, who are about 70 million worldwide, but are often invisible because they don't cross borders and therefore don't maybe attract international attention, but they suffer equally and they deserve attention and solidarity. So in response to that, the Secretary General launched in the summer of 2022 the Action Agenda on Internal Displacement, which is basically a collective commitment to support national governments who have the lead, of course, in the provision of solutions to IDPs, in really dramatically reduce the number of IDPs worldwide. The guiding principle on internal displacement, which were published more than 20 years ago, remain valid, and they call for, of course, safe, voluntary, and dignified and informed return. It is important to hear the voices of the displaced population, understanding what would be the factor that would encourage them to return, their willingness, of course, to return, and of course, consider the return of the IDPs as something that is where safety is first, but then there's a whole broad range of other services that will need to be provided. I end by really congratulating and applauding the government of Azerbaijan for the declaration of the SDG 18. It is very telling that we have a senior official from the Ministry of Economy here to talk about this, because this is exactly how the integration of mine action into development plans should happen. And I encourage the international community to continue to support Azerbaijan, the government of Azerbaijan, in its efforts. Let me end by a word of appreciation and recognition to all the people involved in demining, not only those who are doing it now, but also those who are training to become deminers as well. Thank you very much.
Luca, thank you for your contribution and thank you for sticking to time. It's greatly appreciated. Our final contribution today is from Angela Hayas-Ibora, External Relations and Policy Advisor at the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining. May I invite you to take the floor? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's not easy to be the last presenter, so please bear with me. I try to keep it short and sweet. But first, I want to thank, on behalf of the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining, the hosts, both the ANAMA and, of course, the UN in Azerbaijan, for allowing us to contribute to this very important discussion, and for this to take place with such distinguished panelists today. I'll be presenting in the next minutes some of the results and insights of the work that we've been conducting on linking mine action and SDGs. But on these efforts, we've only been able to achieve success thanks to collaborative approaches, as mentioned by the chairman of the board of the ANAMA. So I also want to thank our counterparts, which are present today. So the Angola National Mine Action Authority, BHMAC, CIMA, of course, ARMAC, CMAA, and UNDP, and all the operators that contributed to all the case studies that we are going to talk about. First, I will share with you a very brief background to then conclude with 4 very concrete examples from our research and case studies. So I'll try to accommodate everything here. Yeah. So from our perspective, there is ample recognition to the fact that there are no one-sided solutions for humanitarian challenges, problems, as everything is very interconnected today. So there's a need to have a very comprehensive approach. And in this regard, a strong alignment with the 2030 Agenda is crucial for maximizing the impact, effectiveness, and sustainability of mine action programs. In 2022, there was an increase in the number of countries facing protracted crisis, which concentrates 74% of the people in need. And also the humanitarian funding needs were not met, only 56% of it. So I think that tells us something. And basically, we need to work in a more coordinated manner. We need to foster complementarity and coherence in line with this famous now triple nexus approach, so enhancing humanitarian development and peace efforts across the different actors and contexts. We at the GICSD have been working on these studies that were briefly mentioned by Luca. I guess this graphic sounds familiar for some of you. In 2017, we conducted this joint publication that was the first attempt to initiate the discussion at the global level on how mine action can contribute to different SDGs. Initially, we identified these direct contributions to 12, indirect to 4. However, also looking at how important localization and national ownership is for the SDG process, for the SDG implementation, as well as for mine action, we decided to go one step further and start looking at specific contexts and tailor a methodology to understand how mine action can provide multidimensional results in different contexts. And there, we initiated with a case study in Angola. Based on the results of this study, we updated the methodology and conducted a pilot case study in Jordan, which served as the basis for a series of case studies in Cambodia, Colombia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. and we are about to launch 3 new case studies on Iraq, South Sudan, and Somalia in the coming months. This is the first time that we use this slide, which basically presents the cumulative results of all these 8 case studies. And there are some good news here. So basically, MineAction can potentially contribute to more than 12 SDGs. We've identified direct contributions to 17 SDGs, and we are not only looking to humanitarian demining or land release here, but also we are looking at explosive ordnance, risk education, victim assistance, gender and diversity mainstreaming, as well as partnerships and cooperation in MineAction. So it takes a more comprehensive approach. For time constraints, I don't have the possibility to go through the methodology, but basically it's based on cross-referencing primary information from field visits, interviews, and satellite imageries, and that's an important point that I'll get back later, with secondary information, relevant literature, and of course, reports. I will start now with the first example I want to share with you. It's from the Cambodia case study. In there, I think it's quite self-explanatory. So we have 2 images, one from 2009 when clearance started, and the other one is from 2020 when we published the case study. So basically, it took 5 years to finalize the clearance operations there. And I wanted to use this example to explain how sometimes results in terms of infrastructure can cascade down to many other aspects. In here, we can see how there was, of course, an expansion of these secondary roads, which in turn contributed to the expansion of agricultural fields, diversification of crops. In this specific case, we are talking about cassava fields, improvement in housing conditions, and also access to water through the construction of irrigation ponds. In this particular example, we were able to identify direct contributions to 4 SDGs. The second case is from the Somalia case study. You are very privileged because we haven't presented this yet, so with the permission of Dahir, the director of CIMA, I'm sharing some initial insights with you today. This is a very specific and I think relevant case because it illustrates how MineAction can be a very important factor for climate change resilience. So basically, after land release and in close partnership with local organizations, there was a possibility to rehabilitate and improve the quality of the land through the construction of soil ponds, and also the plants, the plant tree saplings. Sorry about that because I'm having a problem with the notes here. But basically in there we were able to identify again 6 contributions to SDGs and many targets under these SDGs. Another important case comes from Colombia. This is a very different one. In here, we are talking about how MineAction can serve as a confidence and security building measure. The case of Colombia is, I think, well known, but basically MineAction played an important role in different phases of the peace agreement. Basically, during the negotiation and mediation phases, there were different initiatives related to humanitarian demining, including a pilot that was conducted by both the Colombian armed forces and also the FARC combatants, and it was a very fruitful collaboration that showcased how these efforts can enhance the effectiveness of MineAction by reducing the time in operations through information sharing. Also, through the establishment of Humanicemos DH, which is an NGO composed by former combatants, there was a possibility to reintegrate and give access to regular income to former combatants and other affected communities in different parts of Colombia. In here, we can see direct contributions to 4 SDGs and several targets under this. The last example comes from the Bosnia case study. This is an example that we've only been able to find in this context. Basically, there was a massive flood in 2014, and the main problem was that the areas surrounding the river were contaminated, so there was no access for all the repairing and maintenance works. So only after land release, there was an opportunity to enhance and repair this infrastructure, and also to build one of the most important transportation networks, which is the corridor BC. In here, we saw direct contribution to 3 other SDGs. With this, I hope I stick to the time. We remain very attentive in case you have any comments, and tomorrow there will be available publications in the back in the room. For logistical reasons, we thought it was worth it to keep it for tomorrow. Thank you very much for your attention.
Angela, thank you very much. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that the panelists' contribution have been absolutely first-rate today and will add tremendously to the outcomes of the conference today. I am now going to move into the wrap-up phase, which is going to be extremely short. We wanted it to be at least 30 minutes, but I'm not going to have that opportunity. But as the speakers were making their deliberations, I was casting my mind back. Whenever we would meet with President Ilham Aliyev as the European Union or the European Parliament, he would never allow any meeting to finish without underlining his absolute commitment to progress and development, but not just for Azerbaijan. He would be absolutely clear that that progress and development must be for the entire region and beyond. And I think that is why when we hear United Nations, Vladanka was very clear today in demonstrating the commitment that the United Nations and other international agencies are able to give to the progress that is taking place here in Azerbaijan today. The demining, resettlement, coexistence, none of that can come about without collaboration. Azerbaijan cannot do this on its own. It needs the international community to show the sort of commitment that the United Nations has done. And indeed, His Excellency, former Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Oturbayev, also indicated that the region beyond the South Caucasus, Central Asia itself, is looking towards Azerbaijan to set a very strong precedent today. And I'm pleased to see that the evidence on the ground is that Azerbaijan's direction of travel remains that initial commitment that this must be a win-win for all. Ladies and gentlemen, please would you accept, on behalf of the panel from me, a very real thanks, a sincere thank you for being so attentive despite having such a long journey in arriving here. You have all been very well behaved. Thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, would you be so kind as to offer our appreciation to our panelists who really have been fantastic today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear panelists, for your comprehensive thoughts regarding the topic. I believe all of us learned some new perspective on the issue. I figured that you all should be hungry by now, and we are ready and eager to provide you with lunch, but on one condition. You'll have to gather for a group photo in front of the Agdam Conference Center, which is located outside, right behind the stage, right behind this monitor. For this, you will have to go left, turn left, and then left again. But one thing that I want you to pay attention for, as you exit the building, I would love you to pay attention on your right. You will see a car, or let's say remains of the car, in which recently 3 Azerbaijani experts on demining, expert on drone usage, lost their lives in a mine incident. I think the details you see there will prove why these kind of conferences are really important. Thank you very much. You may use these doors to exit, please. There are doors on the left. On the left of me, on your right.